Things you didn't know you needed to know about nature, part 42. If you can make a meatball out of the soil you pick up from the ground after a big rainstorm, and that meatball stays a meatball and doesn't fall apart, your soil is too wet for planting. Hi, I'm Jill with Squiggly's Beescaping. We do nature education and habitat restoration with a special focus on native plants, native pollinators, and no pesticides. So let's get into it. Why is soil compaction such a big deal? Now, soil compaction is such a big deal because it hinders the ability for both oxygen and water actually percolate down into the soil when we need them, not only for our plants to grow healthy and beautiful and large, but for the soil microbes and all the countless other beneficial creatures and fungi and creatures, all the creatures that live in the ground. And by compacting the soil and not allowing that oxygen and water to get down there, we are actively just harming them and kind of killing them. Now, when there is also the inability for that water to percolate down, that leads to a lot of erosion issues and drainage issues, which of course, as we know, is a big deal. And if you live in an area like we do, like in Western North Carolina, clay soil is amazingly nutritious and has a lot of, cool benefits, but it's pretty horrible when it comes to compaction. If you compact too much clay around plants, it can almost act like it's a pot, not allowing that plant to grow in the way it needs to. And like I said, it's killing all of those beneficial good guys, all of the microbes and the fungi and all of that stuff that lives below the ground. And that is a big, big problem for soil health. And so compaction happens oftentimes when it rains a lot. Usually about a ½ an inch in a day is enough for you to be able to create that meatball in your hand with soil. And you're going to know that it is just too compact for you to be able to work. You're going to do more damage than you would good by being in the garden that day. And furthermore, when it comes to compaction, a lot of compaction happens even when it's not wet, just from heavy vehicles and heavy things that are consistently going in certain places. So, it's the same idea where you always see a path that everyone decides to take, and that path eventually doesn't have any plants on it anymore. And it's just because it has gotten so compacted over time that that water and that oxygen just cannot percolate down and do the good things that we need it to do for all of the life below the soil. So it's always good to do the meatball test. If you make a meatball and it doesn't fall apart, then just wait. Usually about 24 hours is what you need to try out in some hotter places. And depending on your type of soil, it might go faster, but that's usually just kind of a good ratio, is usually like around ½ an inch of rain over a day will usually create that meatball experience. So I hope you enjoy learning about the meatball test, and that if you like random nature videos like this, you follow along. If you already follow us, thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.